And so now we are in line 3. And so after the despondent friend made his plea, his case on how he's going to trust in the Lord, this is the strong friend saying, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. And so in this stanza right here, he's saying all the things that God is going to do for him or her. So it says, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler, or from the trapper of birds. And so this sends us to Isaiah 43:2 as a reference scripture that says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor the flame scorch you. Now notice that this right here in 91:3 says, surely he should deliver you from the snare of the fowler, or the trap, or from the perilous pestilence. So it doesn't matter what we go through with. And just like a hunter tries to trap birds and whatnot, the enemy tries to trap us too. And not only the enemy tries to trap us, but even though we go through like maybe natural disasters or things that that's going to affect us, it's not going to overtake us. All right. And so it says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. So it didn't say he was going to not have the waters to not come, but he said that he's going to be with us in the midst of those waters. Even though he's going to, even though we've been tossed and walking through the fire, it's not going to affect us either. And so let's look at that in Daniel 3:25. That says, look, he answered, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God, or the Son of the gods. And so basically, even they, the Hebrew boys, weren't spared from going through the fire. But even in the midst of the fire, the Lord was right there with them. And even not to say, and this, praise Jesus, even though we may get the disease or the diagnosis or whatever, it's not going to stop the disease or the diagnosis from forming or coming or happening. But God is going to be right there in the midst of it with us. We're not going through anything by ourselves. And this is what the whole premise of this psalm of what it's talking about. We're not, this whole Bible, whatever we going through it from Genesis to Revelation, showing us that we're going to have trials and tribulations. We're going to have things come upon us. But we're not in it alone. We're not in it alone. Sometimes it may feel like we're alone, but we are not alone. And so it sends us also to Deuteronomy 31:6. Deuteronomy 31:6. This is Isaiah sending us to Deuteronomy 31:6. That says, be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. That is a promise. But we have to do something too. We're commanded to be strong and good and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid. Those are commands. We cannot be afraid and saying that, how are you going to be afraid and God is with us? That means that you have no trust in God. If you still have to be fearful and God is saying he's with you. You think somebody can beat up God? You think the enemy can overtake God? That's what you're saying when you're still walking in fear and being afraid of situations. Not me. I don't care what happens. Not me. You know what? I would die believing and trusting in God. I would die believing and trusting in God. Because you know what? This is going to die anyway. But long as my soul doesn't die, I'm alive. That's why I keep telling you. It seems like every time it keeps coming up. Fear not the one who can destroy the body. Rather fear the one who can destroy the body and the soul and cast it into hell. And you mean to tell me that God is saying that he's going to protect us even with a shadow? He gonna put us in all kind of shelters? And we still walking in fear? There isn't anything wrong with God. It's something wrong with us if we still have to have that type of belief. So he's saying that seem like I'm gonna have to pause here because it seemed like I'm just only doing one line a segment. Cool. I'm gonna have about 20 segments.